look at it right now, I always knew that I wanted to go into engineering, and especially material science, because uh, I was fascinated with nanotechnology and how it, like when I first as a kid, I read about nanotechnology and found it very fascinating to see how it can change the world in so many ways. And that's why that's how I began into this field. And it turned out that nanotechnology itself was not a field of study, but it came under the purview of material science. So
Correct.
that's how I got drawn into it. And yeah, since I was good in physics, chemistry, and maths, as a lot of engineers are, and then I took that forward. And throughout my so I started preparing for JEE 11, 12, as most people do, and then
And
uh,
where you're from India?
I'm from Kolkata.
Kolkata. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I went to coaching classes, did my 11th and 12th, prepared simultaneously, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to crack JEE on the first attempt.
Hmm.
So I ended up, and since I'm uh, like the first engineering student in my family, I really didn't have a lot of guidance as such. So I was really going off of what my friends and everyone was telling me, and doing some basic research on the internet. So since I couldn't crack JEE in the first attempt, I ended up joining a private college in Bangalore.
Hmm.
Um, but I really did not enjoy that experience. It was, I mean, the course was interesting and stuff, but uh, it felt as if it felt as an extension of school pretty much, where
Right,
they
right,
were giving you this stuff to read and prepare, and then you just have to mug it up and write it down on the examination. But
right.
since I was so passionate about engineering, I want to delve deeper and develop a better understanding of it. So that's why I put in another 6 months, and thankfully managed to crack J in the second attempt. So throughout my, like, once I joined IIT, it was I had my eyes set on coming to the US to work and to uh, get some education here, because of all, like, you have so many great American companies coming out. You hear about so much innovation going on, and especially in a field like material science, which requires a lot of upfront investment for industries to set up.
Right.
I felt there was a lack of manufacturing, and then demand for material scientists like me. Uh,
Let me ask you one question here. What was the time when you joined undergrad, when you thought that, okay, I want to go to a PhD? What was the time that you were decided on that, and
oh,
why?
I'm doing a master's actually right now. So this was
Yeah, yeah. Like, what was the time when you said, okay, I would like to go for?
so I joined IIT in 2014, and since then I had my eyes set on
Okay, US and doing your graduate
yeah,
studies.
doing higher education, yeah, and
What I'm
being a
thinking is like, like the course curriculum do you have, or the professors do you had an impact on you, or whatever they taught, or did anything like worked in the lab or
yeah,
anything
yeah,
that sort of?
for sure. So I went on a couple of internships to Germany, actually, to Europe,
Okay,
and those were very insightful, where I understood their work culture and understood the kind of research that was taking place. So that really reinforced my drive to come to the US and
got it.
build a career here. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, as I was saying, I had my eyes set on coming to the US from the beginning. I remember in one of our orientation ceremonies with our seniors, uh, they asked me what I wanted to do, and yeah, at that time itself, I had said that I wanted to come to the US. So I think having that goal set earlier helped me quite a bit, because now when I look back on the preparation for like a application to Stanford, I think having that uh, objective really helped, because whatever I did during my undergrad, it was built towards strengthening my application to the US, in terms of either getting foreign internships, or developing coursework, or taking part in activities that would build different character traits, or build different characteristics of my personality. So all of those really helped. And I think what worked in my favor while applying to Stanford was having this all round package, where, like, uh, I had my I had decent grades in my undergrad coursework.
Hmm.
I had taken part in co-curricular activities. I was involved with people, and that's how I developed some communication skills. Um, and I had research and experience. I had published papers. So all of those just I think built together.
So let me ask you, when I when we went to IT and we graduated. This was 2003 when I graduated,
Yep.
and going for summer internship was not that popular at that time.
I see.
Those days. And it was right along our time when really people started going for summer internships and doing research. And I don't know any like people who before us were into that. I guess ours was, I would say, first batch in that sense. So me and my friend actually, we did our internship at IC Bangalore at that time. And then after that, and now it's pretty much common. I think IITs, ISCs, they have official internships, I believe, right
Yep. Yep.
now.
Yep. Yeah.
Though at that time that did not used to be the case, and so forth. But a lot of questions, and then you talk to students and everybody is like, I want to do research work. I want to, rather than focusing on getting a good GRE or TOEFL score, or not to screw up your GPA and so forth. Don't you think that they really need to make sure that they don't screw up that, rather than doing some research? Because at the end of the day, uh, for a master's or a PhD student, the students who are going to come here, they don't expect them to publish like 10 papers, right?
In
Or
my
or or
experience, at
or,
least right
or
now, they do expect at least a couple of publications, at least for applying to this top places. And
but
I think
but
it might
how?
not be a requirement for computer science, but at least for material science or like hard sciences,
Uh-huh.
they do look for a publication.
But how about screwing up your GPA or a TOEFL GRE score?
Oh yeah, I don't think it is. Yeah, you can compromise on
So
those either.
yeah, so if you have to give them like choices like number one, number two, number three, number four, what you would say, like GRE, GPA, TOEFL, your publication letter of recommendation, how did you rate them then?
I don't think rating, as I was saying, that rating, I don't think rating works that way. I mean, since I'm not one of the evaluators, I can't really
No, no,
see.
but
But
for your case, for
in my
example, I
case,
mean,
I think,
how
just
good was your
overall,
GRE?
my GRE
How,
was 330. So as I said, like getting good at everything. I think the
everything?
overall
Okay,
package. So it's like the way I look at it was if I'm competing in the application pool, if I'm competing against another person,
right, right.
the number of places where I'm better than somebody else, the more chances I have of getting it right. So why
Right,
let off on any
right.
aspect?
And again, actually, we are talking about MITs and Stanford so that means you can't really compromise on anything, probably, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay. You're not talking. So let's say if you're hitting at Rice University, let's as an example, or Penn State, or I don't know, like Texas A&M, those sort of universities. Uh, do you know from through some knowledge or through your friends, like they probably didn't went to any internships or something, or didn't have any score, but their score were good, so they were able to make it. But if you had a really bad score,
Right.
the research experience doesn't help. That's what I was getting into.
Right. No, but I think it is the other way around, I would say, because I mean GRE. So for example, so GRE looks at your quant and English basically, right?
Right, right.
If you're doing engineering that in India, there's a good chance you'll be solid in quant, but
Hmm.
English is where a lot of people
Right,
fail,
right,
right?
right, right. Hmm.
So if you're able to, and a lot of universities provide English classes, like like even at Stanford, you can enroll in English classes right when you join too, so that you can build up the communication skills. So I don't think GRE is like, in my personal opinion, I don't think GRE is that hard a requirement. I would place research and the GPA very highly over
Jim.
that.
And is there anything on the letter of recommendations also, where they say letter of recommendations from the professors where you took the classes versus you did internship?
Uh,
Is there a
yeah, I don't think there's a preference there.
there's a preference?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, because yeah, you would want to get a letter of recommendation from somebody who you think knows you well, or who
Hmm.
can uh, so if you worked more with your university professor, it can come from there, or if you work more with research or on your internship, that can be there. Also, when I mean research, when I say research experience, it need not necessarily be research. Like if you have any relevant experiences in your field where you've worked in a project in your department itself, or you have worked in a job also where you were actively involved with some sort of development related to your field, even that
Mhm.
will work. So I'd rate experience highly on that scale.
Okay, okay. Is there another question? So in like in US, right? In India, we also have tier one, tier two, tier three universities, right?
Yeah, right.
So like, if you are from IIT, my opinion is you get an edge. I have seen that in my case too. But what about like somebody who is applying from tier two or tier three? Do you think these university has some sort of a bias, or they are like doesn't matter?
I don't think it matters actually, because I've met people here from private colleges in India, from Mumbai, from Bangalore.
Okay. But how about like getting into a scholarship versus not? Is that there you see a slight difference there? Because you can. If my question is education is more like in US is like a business, right? So as far as you are able to pay money from your pocket, everything looks fine. I'm pretty sure most of the universities
Right.
will admit you. But when it comes to like a especially for a PhD program and for within a scholarship, that's where they are like, okay, we really need to make sure who you are,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So my belief is like then in that case, the professors. I mean, I have friends who are professors now, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
and I when they rate them, I'm assuming like they are like, okay, here is a guy from IIT Bombay versus a guy from University of X, uh, everything fine, both of them are equally good. Whom should I go? The natural choice would be somebody from IIT Bombay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so like the brand advantage is definitely there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't discount it completely, but I wouldn't say it's as black and white a case as that, because
Okay.
I think the way it works is, since when you are in, say, an IIT Bombay, during your undergrad itself, you get so many more opportunities in other places that it strengthens your application as well.
Right, right, right.
So I'd be surprised if there are two candidates having exactly the same experiences, but just their college's name being different,
Hmm.
because I think that the undergrad, like different places for undergrad have provide such different experiences that can really impact your application.
Okay, okay. And how about let me ask you, how about when there is one question which I always struggle to ask. As an undergrad, right? Do you apply for a master's program or do you apply for a PhD program? Because many students, and I'm thinking about my time, right? Because I was very sure that I'm going to go for a PhD program. So when I applied, I talked to a professor, and that's how it used to work. I knew who you are, who the professor was. I said, I want to come for a PhD.
Sure.
And I was undergrad. I had to, I have to have like 10 plus 4, like, or something like that. But they say before you are eligible for a PhD.
Yep.
And then so they say you have to do masters first and all that. But you start working with a professor. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Um, so what about like the student who say, I want to apply for a master's program versus a PhD program? And the reason I say so is because my feeling is, as a master's student, getting in a scholarship is extremely rare
Yep.
versus a PhD, which is almost 100%.
Yep.
Right. So students who cannot afford to take a loan or something, right? For them, like I can't have a loan, so better I go to an IIT or do another MTech or something, and then apply for a PhD program. How do you see this thing?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. So when like the financial aspects come into the picture, it becomes more complicated, definitely, for
Right.
people to make a choice. But and as you said, getting a scholarship during your masters is really rare.
Right.
But like I have friends here who are doing their masters in and I think this is easier in CS, where you can apply for like TA ships or CA ships,
Because there are
and
so many of them,
that
probably.
yeah, exactly. And so it works best in cases where there are a lot of classes taking place, and
Undergrads,
yeah,
right?
the classes are huge in size, so the professors need a big team of
Yeah,
TAs
right,
to supplement. So yeah, you can pull that off. That's not a problem.
right,
But I think if money is not a constraint, then you should really be looking at, do you want to go for a PhD? Do you want to go for a master's?
right,
What
right.
are the pros and cons there?
But for a professor to commit for a direct PhD program, that doesn't happen. I right? You have to do masters or something and then go for after an
So
undergrad.
at least I think it depends on different colleges actually. For example, there are some colleges, at least in my experience, where you have to talk to a professor and get them to hire you.
Okay,
But other colleges like Stanford, they have a central application process. You don't
right.
even need to contact the professor beforehand. So a lot of people, yeah, actually do get enrolled in the PhD program directly.
Yeah,
Uh,
actually, that's a good point. I want to talk to you about that also. So, you know, I had an experience on two cases. So at Johns Hopkins versus at Arizona, where I did my master's. I talked to a professor. I didn't care about what the admission school was thinking, right?
okay.
So I talked to a professor, and he was okay. I'm okay. I got in a scholarship. He admitted me. But at Johns Hopkins, I saw you have to go through the central admission process. As I said,
Yeah.
there is no point talking to a professor at all.
Yeah.
You have to get through that door first before you get
Yeah.
into and once I think they do your tour or something, and they invite like 10 students, and after then they make a decision, and then you do like a 1 year rotation, and then you
Yeah.
get into. It's like
Yeah. That's how
they
it is
that's
in Stanford as well.
that's okay. Okay, I think it's MIT also is the same thing. If I'm not wrong, it's like there is no point talking to a professor. There is a central
Exactly.
system
Yeah. Yeah. There's
go
sense
through, and
because
but
I, I think the way it works here in Stanford at least is so as you said, you have to do at least I think 1 year of coursework, and then you have your qualifying exams where you are quizzed based on the coursework that you've taken.
and
So I
then
think
you
they, yeah, and then you actually do your research, right? That's when you start.
and then
So
you
I think
get admit to a lab or whatever lab you like, I
exactly,
believe.
yeah,
Otherwise they give you a master's and say get out from here. Right.
Also, yeah, the rotation. So I think it works well for both the parties involved. So
Right, right.
the PhD student gets to work in a couple of different labs and understand
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree.
what they want to work for the next 4 years, and the professor also get to evaluate the students that way whether they
Yeah, yeah, that way you don't have that problem where a student says after 6 months, hey, I really want to quit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's okay to quit after your rotation, yeah, and
Right,
get
right,
a
right,
master's maybe.
right. Good. Cool, man. I think these are the most of the questions I have. Is there anything else that you like? Let's say I don't know whether you have answered to that, but if you look back, if let's say if there is a second year undergrad student or a third year undergrad student out there, international, what your piece of advice to him or her, if right now they are thinking about getting into Stanford, like piece of advice, what you do's and don'ts, if I have to say.
Um, Right. As in my case, networking helped quite a bit. So talking to current students of Stanford, reaching out to them,
Okay.
they'd be happy to help, or uh, reaching out to your seniors who have graduated and what is their experience like, so that you understand what is the world out there like. So if if you're still deciding between whether you want to go for higher studies, whether you want to go for jobs, just being in touch with seniors and talking to them, understanding their
Mhm.
experiences can help you clarify that decision quite a bit. And also with like so when I had to choose between the colleges that I got admitted to, I spoke with a lot of students who are currently enrolled, and that helped me clarify quite a bit of stuff. So
Like
yeah, reaching out to people helps.
which one to go and which one. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that helps clarify things quite a bit.
Okay. Great, man. Thanks very much, Kush. And I'm hope that this is going to help a lot of students out there.
Yeah, I hope
So
so too.
thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay.